Well, there seems to be method in nature's madness in taking me off out there and then bringing me back again, because I kind of missed what was so special about Abadaron Bay. I thought it was a nice place, but I hadn't realised its absolute significance and historically, really, and its relationship to the Druids. And so, having come back here, spent some time here. And I also catch some fish here, which is remarkable. You'll notice that little sign on the chart plotter, there's a fish there of my new spot. It's made with a fish, and that's just an accident because I wanted to mark the wreck as a fishing spot, and I marked the wreck as a fishing spot using a fish symbol. And when I got to mark the next anchorage where I stopped the boat, it just came out as a fish symbol. Last time it just came out as a star, but it must sort of remember what the last symbol was, so it came out with a fish symbol. And the funny thing is I caught 3 good fish here, and I ate fish, and you'll see that in the video as it goes on. This me cooking and eating the fish for the first time, and very nice it was too. And so, having come back to Aberdaron and decided to stay for a while, I ended up researching Aberdaron. It turns out that Bardsy Island is the most holy pilgrimage spot in the whole of England. It says 3 pilgrimages to Aberdaron, or Bardsy Island, is worth 1 pilgrimage to Rome in the olden days. And there's the bones of 20,000 saints are buried on Bardsy Island. And at Aberdaron is a point that the boat runs from the shore over to Bardsy Island to take the pilgrims over there. And so it's very interesting. I wouldn't have found that out if I hadn't kind of stopped here and researched it. And the most interesting thing I discovered was that when the Druids were all destroyed on Anglesey, on Holy Island, what happened was they got in their little coracle boats and sailed here to Bardsy Island. The last 900 of them apparently came to Bardsy Island, and they wouldn't have left the relics behind. They would have taken the most holy relics, the bones of the ancestors that they had, and concentrated them all into Bardsy Island. So Bardsy Island is the last refuge of the Druids in the world, really. It's that significant. And being a Druid myself, of course, it's very interesting for me to study this history, if you like. And so Bardsy Island, and it is possible to sail over there and anchor up in the little bay there, and there's not a lot of shelter there, but you can actually take a sail out there. So I'm sure one day we'll do this, probably with my lady, not by myself. And this, on the shore here, you'll see some of the pictures. There's a graveyard and a church there. And this is also associated with the Bardsy Island monastery, if you like, Druidic monastery. And it was a special community that some of them lived on the land, and some of them, I suppose the most holy people, lived on Bardsy Island. And this was the connection, Aberdaron, Bardsy Island. And this is one community. So very interesting. Oh well, I've got some pictures of me, some video I took around Abadaron Bay, so enjoy. I've just made a nice cup of coffee and we're just relaxing on board really, which is about all there is to do at sea. It's the aim of being here is just to relax and be in a pleasant surroundings, sitting in our rocking chair. There's a boat kind of rocks from side to side a little bit, and the sun is beating down on us. We're out of the wind because the boat is facing into the wind, and we're being moved gently on the anchor so that our view of what we're seeing is varying depending on where the boat is positioned. And so it's all very nice here in Abadaron Bay, and I feel that there's no real reason to move. There's no reason to go out and sail and come back again or anything like that. It's necessary to relax and conserve our energy, because when you get to my age and you've got a back like mine, it's necessary to make sure that you've recovered sufficiently for next time when you're going to need the energy for the big passage, if you like. And so I'm not too fussed about pulling the anchor up and down a lot. The less I do of that, the better. But it's interesting, I just wanted to talk about some of the systems that we now have in place, because remarkable as it seems, there's absolutely nothing to do on the boat yet. All the systems are working perfectly. I did have one battery fail, and I put another battery in its place, and that battery seemed to charge up too much and cause a little bit of problem when the sun was too bright. And all I did was I turned it on, I changed the settings onto the other battery, so it only charges one battery. There's two batteries in the house system. You can have both charging, one charging or the other charging. And so one can be stationary, just static, just sitting there fully charged. So that's what I did, was I turned it off onto the other so that it operates on the other battery, and left this one fully charged. And I checked the voltage after a day or so, and it was still like 12.7 volts, which is perfect. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the battery. I think it's more that because it's an AGM battery, it's not really, probably not as suitable to be mixed with the other one that's in there, and maybe it's just getting a little bit overcharged or something. And so it's good just to take it off the system, and you know, we've got a spare fully charged battery if we need it. And that's the main thing, and I just keep it topped up. It's the only reason for having the two batteries really, is so that you haven't got all your eggs in one basket. And which is quite different to what we've got on the motor system. We've actually got three batteries on the motor system. We've got, and they're all a mixture too. But there's method in the madness, because the one that it's coming mainly off is it's called a leisure battery, and that is delivering the power directly up to the motor, and then connected in parallel with that is an AGM battery. And so it's not, and what happens is in the and there's also another AGM battery that's used on the dinghy. So there's these three batteries in parallel, and what happens when you're in parallel is they all share the load, so you're not like subjecting one battery to the full load of that powerful engine, electric engine, which wouldn't be good for it really. And so to have the load shared over a number of batteries is good with the engine. That's the way it is. The more batteries you've got to share the load, the less each one has to deliver, and the less amps it's got to deliver, and so the easier it is for it to do the job. I hope that makes sense. All our systems are working perfectly. It's a bit disappointing that the generator can't keep up with the motor at full power, but I knew that when I bought it. It was, I think it's 800 watts, the generator's 800 watts, and the motor pulls about a kilowatt. I thought, well, it's going to get away with it, but it didn't. So by reducing the power on the motor, you bring it down within the range. And I also noticed that the amount of battery you use at full power versus the one that's shut down is like an order of magnitude. It's double to go just like a little bit like half a knot faster. It's like double the usage of the battery. So the way it's worked out is fine. And so that means that we're going to be getting quite economical performance on the generator. We can run at 2.5 knots for as long as we can pour petrol into the generator. So that's quite a good bonus to have that system. It is just as noisy and annoying. It's probably more annoying than the outboard engine. The outboard engine, I like the sound of it. I was surprised. I thought it was going to have more of a two-strokey sound, but because the exhaust is going into the water, it's actually got quite a nice sound. And I haven't been running it anywhere near flat out. I've probably run it half throttle, and I'm hoping that that is going to give me some fuel economy. And I haven't used a huge amount of fuel considering the amount of distance I've covered on the engine. And I'm hoping to monitor that. I made a stick. I calculated the volume of the tank and then marked a stick according to how many litres it is. And next time I use the engine, I'm going to dip the stick and measure it, and then at the end of the how many minutes or hours that I use the motor for, then measure it again and see what my litres per hour usage is of that particular setting, and so I can gauge, more accurately how far I've got to go with whatever fuel I've got on board. Because I'm not carrying an awful lot of fuel. I'm hoping not to need to carry a lot of fuel and mainly do the sailing. And the sails are really to move the boat from one anchorage to another. And whilst you don't need to move the boat, there's no real point in sailing because there's no purpose to it. We're here, we're anchored, we're in the right place relative to the wind, the bay is sheltered, we haven't got a lot of fetch, which is the amount of water between the shore and us. We haven't got a lot of fetch, so we've got no serious wave problem developing here. And what will happen is if the wind shifted so that it was coming straight in the bay here, if it was going to do that, then we wouldn't want to be here. And that's basically the reason for moving, or that the winds are now favourable to actually move the boat to the next place that we want to be, based on the future of the wind, where the wind is coming from. And so at the moment I'm happy to be here because it's 17 knots on windy, it's 17 knots offshore there, and that's a little bit much for me. It's been blowing offshore in the same direction for some time now, and so there's going to be a certain kind of swell going through there. And tomorrow it's lightening up a bit down to 14 knots on the forecast, and then going down again, and the wind is actually moving into, so instead of it being a straight downwind sail, it'll be more of a broad reach, which is, I like sailing a broad reach, it's more comfortable for me. So I'm going to wait until tomorrow, and if I feel like it tomorrow, I may well leave and head south towards Fishguard. And my rubbish bin's getting a big full here, and there's a certain suppliers that are going to be getting low soon, but we're doing well. The idea with the suppliers is that we just eat everything on board, and whatever it is, we don't worry about if we run out of one thing. There's always other things to eat, and in the end there's always muesli bars and stuff like that in the back cupboard. So we've got probably enough supplies on board for a week if we had to. But if we got to Fishguard within the next 2 or 3 days, it would probably be useful to buy a few things like milk, eggs, stuff like that, and maybe a bit more. So it's nice to have the option to be able to have ham and eggs on board, ham, eggs and bread. And my bread is running a bit low, so it'd be nice to we can get Fishguard. In fact, that's probably the first thing that's going to run out, is the bread and the eggs. And so I just want to say that this place is just such a wonderful anchorage. It's really the best place I've found so far in Wales to have a boat. It's just so perfect, this place. The fishing is good, the water's clear, it's not crowded. People are scared off by the tales of the currents around here, and the reputation that this place has got, and probably not really deserved, because you can always get the hell out of here as long as you keep your eye on windy, and you've got good cell phone coverage, good high-speed internet access here, so you can keep your windy going and keep your up with the play of what's happening with the weather, which is good. And so I'm very, very, very glad to be able to relax and spend some time in this glorious environment, getting ready for the next serious passage, which will be the exact opposite of what I'm doing now. And because it is its opposite, it will be most rewarding and a great experience after having spent so much time relaxing and then chilling out in this beautiful Aberdaron Bay. Thank you for watching.